Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let me ask you something. What if everything you've been told about business and competition is wrong? What if the real goal isn't to compete, but to build a monopoly? Today, we're diving into Peter Thiel's fantastic book, 0 to 1. It's basically a blueprint for building companies that create brand new things.
So Thiel kicks everything off with this one, a simple sounding question, but it's deceptively deep. He says a really good answer isn't just some unpopular opinion, it's a hidden truth. It sounds something like this. Most people believe X is true, but the reality is the exact opposite of X. This question right here is the starting point for finding those new paths that actually build the future.
And the key to answering that question, really, is understanding the huge difference between copying something and creating something from scratch. That's the whole idea of going from 0 to 1. Thiel says progress comes in two flavors. First, there's horizontal progress. That's going from 1 to n. Think about it like this. You have one typewriter, and you figure out how to mass produce 100 more. You're just copying something that already works. On a global scale, we call this globalization. But then there's the other kind, vertical progress. This is going from 0 to 1. This is the magic. It's about creating something totally new. So you have a typewriter, but instead of making more, you invent a word processor. See the difference? That's 0 to 1. And the word for this is technology, which Thiel defines really broadly as just any new and better way of doing things. So what's Thiel's own answer to his big question? Well, here it is. Most people think the future of our world will be shaped by globalization, but the truth is, technology is what really matters. He makes a powerful point. Just copying old ways of doing things on a bigger scale isn't sustainable. It leads to environmental problems and conflict. If we want a truly better future, we have to invent it with new technology. Okay, so if technology is the answer, how do we build it? Well, Thiel argues that first, we need to unlearn a really big myth that's been drilled into us, the idea that competition is good for business. Now, this one might make you do a double take. We're all taught that competition is the heart and soul of capitalism, right? But Thiel flips that completely on its head. He says capitalism is all about accumulating capital, making profits. But what does intense competition do? It eats away at profits until there's nothing left for anyone. And you can see the difference so clearly here. On one side, you have perfect competition. Think about the airline industry. It's a brutal dogfight where everyone's offering pretty much the same thing, and they compete on price until nobody's making any real money. On the other side, you have what Thiel calls a creative monopoly. This is a company that is so uniquely good at what it does that nobody else can come close. Think Google and search. They own their market, and that gives them the freedom to think long-term, to innovate, and even to treat their employees well. And here's a really clever observation. Both sides are incentivized to hide the truth. A huge monopolist like Google doesn't want the scrutiny, so they'll say, oh, we're in a tough fight in the tech market. Meanwhile, a small restaurant stuck in a brutally competitive local market will tell you, we're completely unique. No one has our special sauce. Everyone's pretending. This is Thiel's brilliant twist on that famous first line from Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, and the message for any entrepreneur is just impossible to ignore. If you want to build something that lasts and captures real value, you have to create something fundamentally different. You have to escape the competition deathmatch. But, escaping competition means you have to be bold. And that's the exact opposite of what the business world seemed to learn after the dot-com bubble burst back in 2000. Thiel argues that we all took away the completely wrong lessons from that experience. After the crash, Silicon Valley got scared. A new cautious playbook emerged. Things like only make tiny, incremental improvements, stay lean and flexible, which often meant having no real plan. Try to improve on what your competitors are already doing, and just focus on your product, assuming it'll sell itself. But Thiel says, no, the real principles for success are the exact opposite of that. His counter-principles totally flip the script. Instead of tiny, trivial steps, he says it's way better to risk being bold. Instead of staying lean to the point where you have no vision, he says even a bad plan is better than no plan at all. Instead of fighting in crowded markets, you should be creating your own. And finally, you have to realize that even the best product in the world won't sell itself. Sales and distribution are absolutely critical. All right, so if the mission is to be bold, make a plan, and build a creative monopoly, what's the actual game plan? What does this blueprint look like in practice? So while every monopoly is different, Thiel says they usually have a powerful combination of these four things.
Some kind of proprietary technology that's super hard to replicate. Network effects, where the service gets better as more people use it, massive economies of scale that make it tough for anyone else to compete, and a really strong, resonant brand. And on that first one, the technology, the advantage has to be huge. We're not talking about a little improvement here. Thiel's rule of thumb is that your new thing has to be at least 10 times better than the next best alternative. Anything less than that is just a marginal improvement, and it'll get drowned out by the noise of competition. It has to be a leap forward. Now, the strategy for getting there is probably not what you'd think. It's not about attacking a huge existing market head-on. It's actually the opposite. You start with a very small, very specific niche market that you can completely and utterly dominate. Once you own that little pond, then you can start expanding into adjacent markets. And Amazon is the classic story here. Jeff Bezos didn't launch by saying, we're going to sell everything to everyone online. No way. He started with books, a small, well-defined niche. Once Amazon became the undisputed king of online book selling, only then did it start to expand, one category at a time, until it became the everything store we know today. This whole strategy of starting small and scaling deliberately completely reframes the end goal. It's not about being the first person to show up to the party. Yeah, you've probably heard the term first mover advantage a million times. Thiel says that's mostly just a tactic, not the goal. What really truly matters is being the last mover. That means being the company that makes the last great innovation in a market and then gets to enjoy decades of monopoly profits. That is the real prize. This idea really pushes back on that popular narrative that success is mostly about luck. I mean, think about it. Serial entrepreneurs like Jack Dorsey or Elon Musk, do we just get lucky over and over and over again? Probably not. Thiel's point is that they succeed because they have a plan. They believe the future is something you can actually build, not just something you stumble into. And this all leads us to the final, really challenging question of the book. Is the future just something that happens to us, a matter of chance? Or is it something we can actively design and create? 0 to 1 is really a powerful call to action for all of us, to stop just copying what's already been done and to start creating the new technologies that will design a much better future. So the question is, what important truth will you uncover?